Yes, we are just on Old Street at the moment, just on the roundabout here where Insulate Britain, about 45 minutes or so. And this sergeant here moving me on, I wish they were as quick to move Insulate Britain on.
Cycle lane, thank you.
And that's what you're up against. When you come to actually legitimately report what's happening here, the police are very quick to move us on, but Insulate Britain, of course, have been causing traffic chaos now for, what is this, 11th or 12th time, the 11th or 12th day in a row. I'm just going to step to the side and give you a look at what's happening here at the moment. They have now, after about an hour or so, moved in to start making arrests here. Some of the people just on the pavement here. This is the main Old Street roundabout, clearly a very busy area of London, into the city if you're heading towards East London, if you want to head into the city, or indeed into central London. This is an area. I'm going to see if I can speak. We've got another arrest taking place here, actually. So, I mean, the police have, to be fair to them, despite being moved on by that sergeant there, they have been a little quicker in getting these protesters out of the way. The problem is, of course, that some of the protesters will glue themselves to the roadway, and that can cause a bit more of an issue in terms of getting special teams out to try to ensure that the protesters' hands are removed from the roadway without causing them too much harm. I'm going to see if I can speak to this woman down here, this protester. Excuse me, sir. Well, she wants to speak to me. That's up to her. That's not up to you. Can you tell me why?
I'm doing this because we're asking the government to insulate homes.
So this lady's under arrest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's up to her if she wants to
go out her business. Okay.
So there you go. Once again, the police very quick to move in and move the press away. If only they'd been so quick during the last 12 days of protests around Insulate Britain.
Realise how serious the climate crisis is. We've got 3 or 4 years to really make a difference. And what are we doing?
And what do you think about this sergeant who is not allowing you to speak to the press at this time?
Well, don't always, I tend to say to the media, don't always talk about, sorry.
Well, what this protester is doing now, of course, is just passive resistance, lying down on the pavement here to ensure that it is as slow and problematic an effort for the police as possible to remove her, but they have now removed her. And apologies for this sort of confrontation with the sergeant. We don't want to do that, but at the same time, these protesters are here in a public space making a protest. They want to speak to us. We want to certainly speak to them and question them about what they are doing. But of course, in terms of the police, they want as quick and speedy a removal of these individuals as possible, and not necessarily anything that is going to cause more of a public order issue. There's a gentleman there as well under arrest, but we'll just leave him at the moment. I'm just going to quickly give you a shot over this side. You can hear more sirens arriving. There are plenty of police here now, and what normally happens is that police have to get a significant number of resources here in order to carry out the arrests in as safe a way as possible, because the last thing they want to do is move in and arrest people who might then just head off in different directions and run into another vehicle and clearly do themselves and an innocent motorist some potential harm here. So that's why we normally have to wait for significant resources to arrive before they can effect an arrest, and that can be very frustrating for motorists who are trying to go about their business, get from A to B. As I say, this is a very, very busy roundabout heading into the heart of central London, into the city and out east as well. They, from what I can see, seem to have removed all of the Insulate Britain protesters now from this is the roadway here that they were blocking before. The last of them, the last 2 or 3, just as you came to me, were being arrested and brought over to this side, this kind of holding area as the officers just wait for available vans to then take the protesters away. So you can see the police are certainly here in sufficient numbers. Another woman here who has been arrested as well is just waiting to be processed and transported, and 2 protesters down here. So it looks as though there was about a dozen or so protesters, and they certainly fit the profile of in fact, I've seen quite a few of the faces before. They come up time and time again. They tend to recycle, to use an ecologically sound word, through the criminal justice system. They get arrested, they get processed at a police station, and then of course they are released within usually a few hours, and they're back out to cause more disruption again. I have to say, this week we had disruption obviously earlier in the week that disrupted the Blackwall Tunnel, Wandsworth roundabout. There were some issues there in terms of confrontations between drivers who were trying to get past and the members of the protest, where we saw actually some drivers taking matters into their own hands and removing protesters themselves. That in terms of the protest was certainly a bit of a sort of a seminal moment in terms of the way in which clearly the motoring public were absolutely fed up to the back teeth of the disruption and decided to move in. In that particular case on Wandsworth Bridge, it was to remove an ambulance or allow an ambulance to get access. But this is the scene here. It seems that the roundabout itself is being cleared. You can see traffic now starting to move again, but there are very significant tailbacks on all approaches to the Old Street roundabout.
Mark, cheers for that report, and I think I'll just commend you on some fantastic, if not some quite chaotic live reporting. It is Mark White who's still on the scene for us there, of course, at Old Street, where Insulate Britain yet again caused chaos by lying down in the road. Mark, how has the police response been? We've had quite a lot of comments in our inbox, and I believe that we did see quite a lot at the time of some police officers being relatively confrontational with the press.
Well, I mean, the police are sort of damned if they do, damned if they don't. The last thing they want to do is move in too quickly when they don't have enough resources here, and then you get a protester running off in different directions and hurting themselves. So they've got to wait for the resources to come before they can move in. Clearly, they've been criticised in the first few days of these protests, but I mean, that is really because the protests happened really quite suddenly. We had the Extinction Rebellion protests a couple of months back, and then this new splinter group formed. So it really took everybody by surprise, including the police. So they have had to adjust their tactics, and now they are on standby, of course, for these protests in greater numbers. That's why the police were here very quickly after reports came through that the protesters had sat on the roundabout. But as I say, they can't just move in and remove them just like that. They need to get the resources in place so they can do it in as safe a way as possible, because clearly the police would be severely criticised if a member of the public, a protester, a member of the travelling public was injured as well. So it's difficult for the police, and I understand that as well, but trying to stop members of the press from speaking to protesters who clearly want to speak to us, and we certainly want to know why they've decided to sit down in the middle of the road and create these criminal offences, road traffic offences, blocking the Queen's Highway. We want to speak to them, they want to speak to us. The police don't want really a public order incident. They want to smooth a sort of a process of dealing with the protesters as possible, getting them into the police vans and getting them away. You can see another protester there being moved into the back of that police van there. So yeah, I mean, all is calm here, but there's certainly significant disruption around here in the main roads into Old Street roundabout itself. As you would imagine, that disruption, and those tailbacks will be lengthy and are likely to cause traffic chaos, disruption around this area for a significant amount of time.
Good stuff. Mark, thank you very, very much.